may notice I'm wearing the exact same outfit as I was in my last video, and that is because I'm pre-filming. Today is part 2 of my toxic relationship story, and as I said in my last story time, I'm changing everybody's name because I feel like that is the right thing to do. So I'm going to take you back to, I think it was January 2017. I had just moved in with Thomas, and we had only been together for around 4 months, and the reason why I moved in with him is because I'd just been discharged from hospital and I had nowhere else to go. At this point, my mum had my older sister staying with her. She had my 2 little sisters there, and she was living in a 2-bedroomed house. There was not the space for me. If the worst come to the worst, my mum would have had me there, but I know for a fact 4 of us in 1 bedroom, it would not have been comfortable and it just wouldn't have worked long term. So I moved in with Thomas, and to begin with, I was so happy. I was living with the guy that I really loved, and I thought life is good. Life was not good. Pretty much from the day that I moved in, I realised that Thomas was addicted to his computer game. And when he was on his computer, he turned into a totally different person. Like, he would get very angry at his game, he'd be shouting, punching the keyboard, and I'd be upstairs in bed hearing all this happening, and I'm thinking, do you know what, if it's winding you up that much, why don't you just come off? Like, surely it makes sense. If something's making you feel that angry, just remove yourself from the situation. But obviously he wouldn't. He loved his game. I don't know why, because it didn't seem to make him happy, but that's by the by, his choice. For the year that I lived with Thomas and his mum, I rarely left the house. I spent all day every day in bed with the curtains shut, the lights off. I just felt so sad and alone, and I think part of the problem was I had no money at this point. Like, I had no money coming in. I was still very unwell from coming out of hospital. I was getting money from benefits, but that was stopped when I moved in with Thomas because he was earning a wage and they stopped my money. But he was only on first year apprenticeship wage, so it wasn't a lot of money at all, and he wasn't very good with money anyway. Like, I'm really good at saving. Like, I remember as a child I'd save up my pocket money, and that just carried on until now, and now I've got a good amount of savings, and I'm proud of myself that I have got that skill because it'll help me out in later life. But he did not have that skill, and it annoyed me because he was getting like £177 a week, and he'd get that on a Friday. By the Sunday, all of that would be gone. And that wasn't great because obviously I had no money and I needed deodorant, I needed pads, tampons, I needed basic necessities, and it was hard to get them. We had to rely on his mum quite a lot just to get me like essential items. But we worked through it, it worked. But I became very unwell physically because obviously when you're in the dark 24/7, you're not getting much vitamin D at all, if any. I would sometimes go out, maybe on a weekend for an hour or 2 with Thomas, but it would be to go and buy my essential items that I would need. We wouldn't go on dates or anything like that because we didn't have the money, and he would rather be at home on his computer. I can't remember when exactly it was, but I reckon it was around May time, 2017. He'd had an argument with his mum which got out of hand, and I was quite scared, so I rang my mum in tears and told her what had happened, and from that moment she did not like Thomas. She did not want him anywhere near her, and from that point I should have left him because my mum, as much as I hate to admit it, my mum is always right. If she says something, like, she is right. So I should have listened and left that, but I didn't. In, I think it was August, we decided to go on holiday down south because he was actually born down south and he still had some family down there. It was his auntie's little boy and his uncle. So we went down there on a holiday and I absolutely fell in love with the place, and it was on that holiday that I decided I wanted to live here. I didn't know how it would all work because obviously it was nearly 500 miles away from where we were currently living. But I knew I wanted to live down there at some point, and that is exactly what we decided to do. It took a lot of planning, a lot of work and a lot of persuasion, and by the end of it my mum had realised that I loved Thomas and this was what I wanted to do with my life. Thomas had been to the doctors to get put on some medication, he was getting therapy for his anger and things like that. Things were going well. And in December of 2017, it was actually Christmas Day, Thomas proposed to me and I said yes. And then we went back down south for New Year and we just wanted to go back down there just to make double sure that we wanted to move down there. So that's what we did. And in the February the following year, which was like 2 months later, we moved down. We moved down and I loved the place. I loved his auntie and uncle, I loved his auntie's little boy, like I loved them all. I felt like part of a family, and his auntie actually taught me a lot of life skills. She taught me how to cook, how to clean properly, like brilliant. Food shopping, writing a shopping list, all the basic things that you need as an adult, but the school will never teach you that. So that is what she did, and the skills that she taught me I still use today, so thank you so much for that. It was in May of 2018 that things were not going well, but we will get to that in a little bit. So basically we moved down in the February and things were going really well. I was so happy, and just after Valentine's Day his auntie and uncle went away for a few nights, so it was just me and Thomas. He was lighting the fire one day because they had an open fire and he was lighting it, and he got really angry that it wouldn't set on fire. Because I don't know if you know this, but if you've got an open fire it is hard to get a fire burning and keep it burning. And he was struggling with that. And he was swearing, he was shouting, he was getting very angry at this fire for not setting on fire. And I thought, do you know what, it's just a fire, like, chill out. And I was sat on the stairs thinking, what an absolute idiot, getting angry over a fire, like calm down. But he was getting really angry, throwing things, and I'm just like, grow up, you're an adult. And that was just the way he was. Little things had just wind him up. He was still addicted to his computer game, and he would only ever spend time with me if we were eating or sleeping. That'd be it. We rarely did anything together, to be fair, like. And I used to look at his auntie and uncle and see what a proper relationship was like, because they were so in love. They made time for each other. They went for little nights away. They had holidays. They went on date nights. Like, we had none of that. If we had a date night, like, it'd be once every 4 months or something. It was nothing major, and it'd only be like an hour or two away. And then he'd be back on his computer and ignore me again. That was when I started drinking a lot of alcohol, and I would get really drunk, because if I got drunk and I was paralytic drunk, his auntie would have to go upstairs and get him to come down and sort me out. And that'd be the only way I would get his attention, and that is such a bad way to live. Like, I had to be drunk and falling all over the place for him to notice that I was here. And that went on for a long time. And then in May 2018 something happened, and that is where I'm gonna leave this story time. And I've got an itchy chin. So if you want to know what happened in May 2018, then make sure you are back next Thursday. I will see you next.